Low-level programming is good for programmer's soul. John Carmack. Also,
But
Wait,
then
you wrote games in assembly?
yeah, complete games in assembly language.
this motherfucker. Assembly is the most hated language that. Wait. 5.43% people regard it as the most popular language? Something must be clearly wrong here. I can definitely say 63.61% of people would never have used it. I had a very bad idea take birth in my mind after looking at Soding, is that how you pronounce it? Game dev stream of making a game. Clearly nothing would go wrong, right? It's just a game, it should not be difficult, right? In assembly. Oh boy. So, first of all, I need to set up everything to make me not look like an idiot, as I have no idea what I'm doing. So I set up a makefile, don't ask how. Then I made a simple hello world program, but turns out assembly you write for Mac OS is very different from the assembly you write for Linux. So, more googling. Turns out Apple has a gist on GitHub that tells you exactly what instruction to write. So, using that, I finally got the hello world to display. Now then, next was to get a window up and running. I needed to display the ball and the paddles and make them move somehow. I don't know how, but I know how to call functions, which is by using the call directive to call the function. But for that, you need to push first the values into specific registers and then call the function, which will directly take the values stored into the registers and take those values as parameters into the functions. I know, kind of confusing, but bear with me here. Did I mention we are going to use Relief for this project? So I use the draw rectangle function by calling the syscall directive and passing the parameters in the specific registers. And this should work. The stack is not aligned. Wait, what? Turns out just following coding was not enough. I needed a macOS specific tutorial that would help me to get up and running. So I googled, of course. Turns out you cannot just call instructions directly due to Apple's privacy. The stack pointer and the base pointer should be multiples of 16, as I know a lot of people will be confused, and don't worry, your goldfish brain won't be able to understand this as I can't even explain it myself. Okay, I have aligned the stack, now it should work. It does work. Now, time to add a ball. And as you know, and I know, balls are round and circular. As some flat earthers might disagree, it's a ball. It should be circle. But no bitch, the ball is flat. This is because I secretly might be a flat earther, or I couldn't get floating point numbers working in assembly. Wink wink. We are like 500 words into the script and nowhere near a fully fledged game. Now we have to get the enemy. Oh sorry, I might have raised some ears by saying that. The opponent paddle. Let's keep it friendly and civilized here. So to create the opponent paddle, I did the same thing as for the player paddle, just copy pasted the entire thing, and Bob should be our uncle. Except he isn't, as this shit cannot handle 3 objects at the same time. So the thing was, the stack was not aligned properly, and the L in aligned is capital. So I cheated a little. I created a test.c file, wrote the code I wanted, compiled its object file, and using obj dump, you can see the assembly equivalent output. So I matched my code to the obj dumped output. Now, time to move some shit. So I first tried incrementing the player y, as we are going to work with only y of both the player and the opponent. And it just worked. But we need to take in keyboard input for the actual gameplay. So I obj dumped the test file to see what instructions are being called, and then figured out what instructions should be called for the particular keys. And it worked. Now time for moving the ball. I can just increment the values of x and y of the ball and the ball moves. Now time for the opponent paddle. It was a bit easier as I already had the player paddle code. So I just needed to do some tweaks to the code and make it multiplayer. Specifically, just to change the input keys to I and K, and voila, is that how you say it? Opponent paddle is done. And we also have a little bit of local multiplayer going on here. Now unfortunately I cannot even fathom to think about adding collision to this, as that would be a nightmare. So I'm going to leave this project to this and announce this as the end of the project. So I would not feel guilty about adding this project to another heap of unfinished projects. So in conclusion, I learned a lot. I learned how memory behaves internally, how a function is called and how the parameters are loaded into functions internally, and how to write proper assembly for macOS. So go follow my Twitter and subscribe to this channel if you want to watch me struggle.